hmm Welcome to the What Are We Doing Here podcast, where we share the inspiring stories of two completely opposite women who overcame their unhealthy relationship with food and negative self talk and found a path to health and healing through self discovery and natural nutritional supplements. I'm Lindsay.
And I'm Brittany, and today we're going to talk about the pain and the purpose and how God uses pain to point us towards our purpose in life.
Yep. I think this is really big for me because I am kind of going through a situation right now that in hindsight, because hindsight's 2020, we always see what we should have seen then. It was never really the path that I was supposed to choose, just based on the difficulty to get here. And sometimes difficulty is something we have to overcome. But there were little pushes that were really frustrating, really difficult to get through, and I kept ignoring those signs and pushing towards the dollar signs.
Yeah.
And now I'm in a bit of a situation where it's become more difficult to vacate, and it's a true representation to me that when God talks to us, it usually comes in a whisper. It's quiet, it's difficult to discern, but pain is God screaming at us. Hey,
Absolutely.
listen, there's something going on. That can be pain in your body that sends you to the hospital
Yeah.
because, hey, there's something wrong. You need to go have it checked out. That can be emotional pain if you're in a relationship that is unhealthy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that can be mental turmoil and pain, which is kind of what I feel like I've been dealing with recently. So just listening and being aware of the signs and knowing when something is difficult because it's growth,
Mm-hmm.
or difficult and painful because you're not on the right path.
Absolutely. So what it makes me think about is that a lot of times my sister says this, you can't hear what God has to say if you're already deciding what you want him to say, right? So there's a lot of times that we think we're doing the right thing. We think we're going the way we're meant to go. When in reality, it's not. And they share this. I see this thing go around every now and then on Facebook about how, if you think your one decision can screw up your whole entire life, you're wrong because, you know, you're going to get back on track. And so when you brought up how he uses pain to put us back on track, it really resonated with me because, I thought teaching was my ministry way back when. I just knew I was doing the right thing. And thinking back, there was a nudge here and a nudge there that, I wasn't going the right place. I wasn't going in the right direction, but I'm bullheaded. And, we all are, especially when we're younger. We know everything there is to know. And we don't listen, especially to God. And, that's when my health took a turn. Really, if you look at it, when I was teaching school, I was driving down the road and had a seizure, never had one in my life. Um, but he stopped me dead in my tracks that day. He said, I have different plans for you. And if it takes me, stopping you with your health, then that's how I'm going to stop you. And my whole life redirected from those moments. It wasn't easy. It was painful. But I could be in a lot worse place now, really.
Yeah. And we've talked about this briefly that in the recent past, just within the last 5 or 6 years, have really started to reach for and seek a relationship with God. And in that time frame, I really can see that some of the choices, some of the direction in my life, the move, a lot of those
Yeah.
things were very much directed by where I'm supposed to be based on God's plan. And some of them came with great pain.
Mhm.
And it's so hard to see at the time. I've come a really long way. And seeing the situation that I'm in now and understanding, truly understanding that these are our messages and this is information that we're listening to and being guided on the correct path by God. I didn't always see it that way. And I
Mm.
always tried to control the situation. And when I started letting go of control and listening and trying to understand and praying more, it truly does have such an impact on so many things. My health, my happiness, I was searching for happiness my whole life,
Yeah.
searching for something to make me happy. A better body. I was looking for a better car, a bigger vacation. And it's so crazy to me that listening in times of pain and being on the right path, that the happiness was always within.
Right. Absolutely.
And so it's just really ironic to me to look back and see those painful moments that pushed me in a different direction and pushed me down a path that I never saw for myself. It wasn't ever the one I feel like I would have chosen,
Mhm.
but somehow I got on that track and started moving in the direction towards just truly feeling like I'm living the way that I'm supposed to be now.
Yeah, it is. It's a feeling that you have, and you don't realize it until you get it, but really, we think that we're headed the right direction and we think that we're listening and this, that, and the other, but those roadblocks that throw you off, sometimes they're meant for you to stop and to turn things over to God, because we can't control life. And the moment that you say, let your will be done, and just let the control go. And we've talked about control, and it is hard to let go. But the moment that you start trusting and having faith that he's going to provide for you, and that you're going to find your purpose, that's the moment that everything changes. It was for me anyway.
Yes.
Excuse me a second.
Yeah, because believe me, I still can't pinpoint my purpose. What I can
Right.
tell you is that the choices that um, I'm making are making sense.
Hmm.
And being able to be grateful for the painful experience that I'm dealing with now and the hardship that I feel like it's causing and a bit of a burden,
Yeah.
that I can actually be grateful for it and understand and make sense out of it and know that going in a different direction is ultimately what I need to do because I have faith that I'm going to get there.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, your purpose in life, I mean, to me, I feel like it could probably change with each part of your life you're in. I don't know how you feel about that, Lindsay. We've never really discussed it, but my purpose in life may not have been the same 10 years ago that it is now. Um I kind of feel like I know my purpose right now in life, but do I know my ultimate purpose of why I'm here on this earth? Not really. I feel like, and we've discussed this before, and I'll just throw this in there, but those days that were so hard that I was laying in bed and, the pseudo tumor, those are the worst headaches you can have, those spinal fluid headaches. Like, there were days that I thought I was going to die, or that death would honestly have been a relief just because of the pain. And I think it's something like 49% of people die in their 40s with that. And it's mostly because they're trying to escape the pain. It's not terminal. It's the worst head pain that you can have. It's the worst it is. And so that, coupled with my PCOS, I always viewed it as a burden, as my cross to carry, as something that was going to hold me back in life. Let's be honest. It's the reason I don't have kids. It's the reason that I can't fulfill my dreams or what I thought was best for me. But when you stop and you think about that pain and how it's now being used as my testimony, now how it's being used to help other women that are going through what I went through. Praise God that I'm on the other side of it now, but
Mhm.
they're not. And so if we can help those people, then that's my purpose right now, you know. Sorry, I'm getting emotional.
Absolutely. That's okay. That's okay. And I think that we have one purpose, but it's the events that come along. And not that your purpose is different, it's your message
Makes sense.
is your mess.
Yeah.
So the mess that you've gone through, the messy stuff, the hard things, the pain, that mess becomes the message for your purpose. And so, no, at the time were the seizures and apparent, like what was purposeful then, what you were supposed to be inspiring people. No, I don't think that. And just like I feel like I've had times of, just recently starting to share my story about the struggles with eating disorders. That isn't anything that I ever put out there publicly. That wasn't part of my message previously. It was always being strong and being able to be disciplined and have, the drive and desire to do a competition. And I was really only showing
Hmm.
half of my message. And it's been really difficult to get vulnerable and expose some of that pain and some of those painful things that I dealt with and went through when I was younger. But again, sharing our mess with people who could potentially have gone through or be going through the same thing. And just like you, understanding that there is another side. It hurts and it's hard. And so I think that that's the piece where it's hard, because when you're in that situation, you're dealing with those pains, you have to make some hard choices. You have to get up and fight through the pain. Mine is vacating a situation that's financially a financial burden. Mine is, right now, but back then it was continuing to fight through those emotional feelings and be able to figure out how to fuel my body properly so that I didn't end up perishing from,
Yeah.
a fear of food.
Well, and
So,
I think what you said, just talking about, because you've circled back around to it now, so I'm gonna bring it up. But you not sharing um what you went through behind the scenes, it did you no good to not get it out in the open, but it didn't help anybody else. But the moment that
right,
you opened your mouth, Lindsay, your message became something that people could use to get through what they were going through that was similar to what you were going through. And that's powerful. It's powerful. It's easy for us to hide. Like, we don't have to get on here and do this podcast. Lindsay and I can talk on the phone instead of recording a podcast. um we are opening ourselves up to our journey because we want people to know that there are hard times and we all go through them, and we'll open ourselves up so that they can benefit. But if you hadn't have shared your struggles with your eating disorder, you may never have been able to help women who had those same struggles.
right. Yeah. Yeah. And feeling led to do it.
Yes.
Like, I feel like it's not irony. It is totally divine timing
Oh,
with which
100%.
I
Talk
chose
Yeah, talk
to talk
about what
about it.
led up to this podcast. Exactly. The steps
Right.
of us meeting, like, those are completely divine. There was no way. What other opportunity would we have had to be on that beach at
Right.
the same time? Hundreds
Yeah.
of people. How did we find each other? Especially
I
when I
know.
was never, like, I was always intimidated by women like you. Like, it was every step of the way that has led us here has been Him. It's been God.
Yeah, 100%. And so I think because we are sharing our path to health and healing, that a big part of our journeys, especially mine, I know mine for sure, has been developing a relationship with God, because I didn't have one. And you and I have talked about that offline a few times, where a lot of really hard things happened when I started to want to seek God.
Right.
And that is when it's so rocky. And at that
Mhm.
point, I let the enemy in,
Yes.
and I was able to, with the grace of God, the prayers that were from other people I know, because that's what had to have been, are what got me here, to being able to know for sure that this is what has been a big part of my healing journey, is leaning on Christ and prayer and listening, because I tried to be so in control of everything.
Yeah.
There there was no other option but for me to control every situation.
Mhm.
And when I let go of that control and listened to the whispers and listened to the pain, the
Yeah.
screaming of pain, is when healing started.
Sorry. I hope he doesn't blow. It's my train, y'all.
Now,
He's so loud.
the trains come
Anyway,
through. I
yeah,
can't hear
no,
it.
I agree with you 100%. And yeah, you and I were raised two totally different ways. I mean, I grew up in the Bible Belt. Like if the doors to the church were open, we were expected to be there. But I still had a lot of resentment. So my spiritual journey, it kind of parallels with yours, even though I've known God my whole life. It's easy to still try to take control and to be angry about thing at him about things that you can't control, or death or whatever. I mean, we all go through stages in our spiritual journey. And so I have been parallel with you before, where I had to find my way back. And when I did find my way back, that's when things got easier. That's when things started happening to where I woke up and knew, oh, that was God. That was the glory of God. That was his grace. I would not be here without him. So yeah, I definitely, we're on the same page with that one.
Definitely.
So
It's okay.
I think this cough would be gone by now. So, but the pain that he gives us, what is it? You can't have the rain without the rainbow without the rain, right? You've got to
Right.
go through some things to be able to find where you're meant to be.
Yeah.
If it was an easy path for all of us, then we wouldn't have any reason to praise him.
Right. Yeah. And I think I am hesitating because I feel like there's some of this that can be triggering for people when, we start having to look at big pains
Yeah.
that we have to go through to grow and grieve. And sometimes those are nudges that we really need to continue to lean in to that relationship and continue to give up control. And so there have been, people who get diagnoses that
Mm.
are terminal or chronic. And I mean, even like you can ask why, but it's a
Yeah.
it's a nudge, it's a scream that you're making choices that aren't aligned with your purpose.
100%. And then you have to think about the people around you that are suffering from your diagnosis. You know, what did they do to have to go through that? And that's where you can either question or have faith and move forward and lean into him like you were talking about. Because yeah, I mean, I received that diagnosis, and there's a lot more that's terminal stuff out going on out there, and this mine is minuscule compared, but um still, I had to question about why, if it's going to be me go through it, that's fine. I'll come out on the other side. But what about my mom? I'm her only child. She was grieving. I was sleeping for the majority of the time, and she was grieving because we didn't know what was going to happen. Whether I was going to have brain surgery, what the next step was going to be, or whether I was just going to be gone. And that's, when you think about that and you think about the people around you, that's when it becomes easier to turn that pain into purpose and to move forward and to grow. Because once I started to realize there were some different options and started feeling a little bit better, I watched the people around me flourish and grow too. And they went from almost a resentment relationship with the Lord to more of a thankful. So
Mhm.
it is. It's when you're. It's just it's a scary thing all the way around.
I think sometimes we forget too that some of the things that we go through and messages that we get, they're not always for us.
Wow, powerful, Lindsay. You're right.
Sometimes we're going through something that's for the benefit for someone else.
Yeah.
And just like that with your mom, like if you think about that, how it helped strengthen her relationship in the end.
Yes.
And that's a small example, but there are so many times that God will put us through something that isn't even for us.
Yeah. Well,
So,
and I mean, it's even to benefit the people whose lives you're going to touch in the future moving forward. I think about
right.
Diane and Hill. I mean, just because that's the first people I think about, she's been through the radiation with the breast cancer, and she's had a really almost terminal diagnosis. It was so bad. And how many people call on her now when they're going through the same things? Because I even call on her when I have somebody going through something similar. So, how many people has she touched around her by her
Yeah.
journey? So yeah, that's powerful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff there, Lindsay.
I think that's one that a lot of times when I think how is this helping me? What is my lesson? What is the lesson in this?
Yeah.
That's when I know that it's for someone else and that I can still be grateful for the experience, know that it's working in someone else's life.
Yeah.
So, because we just never know. And I think just listening to those painful messages and trying to interpret and just being grateful for everything, even the grieving, even the hard stuff,
Mm.
because there's something there. There's a reason for it. It's not always understood.
No.
So, yeah,
That was
it's always
a little
purpose in
deeper
the
than
pain. Yeah, I
yeah,
know.
a little deeper than usual.
I know. Yeah, but I felt like that, it's been so important in my journey that it was important to talk about today.
Yeah. And we are on this journey, and so a lot of times our topics are what we're going through at the moment. So, we focus on that because we're healing. We're on our own journey, and we're figuring out how to heal and how to keep going, and our purpose too.
Yeah. Yeah, because personal growth is forever.
Forever.
There's never going to be a time that we jump off this train.
Right.
So there's always going to be, I mean, we may look back, in 3 years and episode 2, we're going to be like, whoa, how much we've changed.
Girl, I
What
have done that already. Just in
already?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, just because I don't know her anymore.
Mhm.
Not just mentally, I mean, not just physically, because I have transformed so much in my body, but mentally, man.
Yeah.
Having, I know we say this a lot, and I will sing your praises every day, Lindsay, but having somebody that pushes you to grow is so important on every aspect of this, because just in the few, what, months, a couple of weeks, months that we have, or a couple of months that we've been doing this, my change is it, and you're the catalyst because I talk to you You help me through every bit of it, and I hope I help you. And we're constantly pushing each other outside of our comfort zone. There's not a time when I call Lindsay and she lets me off the hook easily. A lot of days it's like, no, that don't sound right. Is that an excuse? So, finding somebody that's pushing you, it will help you grow as fast as anything else will.
Yep, 100%. And so even if it's a podcast, but
Yeah.
I do think that there's value in having someone who can truly have a conversation with you, someone that you feel comfortable with and trust enough and know that it comes from a place of love, because I think that's so important. Is it has to come from a place of love and not criticism. So we got
And
off
if you
topic a little
ever
bit, but
feel, yeah, well, and somebody that you're comfortable enough with that if you ever feel like, oh, it was more of a criticism and not coming from a place of love, that you can go say, just say, wait, what? Because, I would never be afraid to say, Lindsay, is that how you meant that? Because that's how I took it,
right. Yep. And
open
having that
honesty.
trust.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
great. All right. Well, before we get into a whole
Yeah.
nother topic that circles right back around to accountability partners, because I think that surrounding yourself with the right people and putting the right energy and, information into your head, all of those things are important. I could talk about it always, but we'll go ahead and close this one out because we said what we needed to.
Yeah.
So if you found value in this episode, go ahead and like and subscribe if you're listening on YouTube, and give us a 5-star review on your favorite listening platform. And we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.